Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. And I'm joined here today by Ryan Adset from the Seagulls Social podcast. How are you doing, Ryan?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And looking forward to it.
Yeah, no problem, mate. And of course, you're here to talk about Neal Maupay, who Everton confirmed, I think, on Friday, signing from Brighton, of course. Obviously, it's actually a player I'm a lot more accustomed to than some of the players we've been linked to throughout the summer. But
Mm.
just for some of our supporters who don't really know too much about him, what would you have to say about him?
I think it depends on what you're sort of wanting from Mope. I think if you're looking for an out and out goal scorer, you're probably looking in the wrong place. I think, but if you're looking for someone to be good with sort of build up play, the way he is off the ball, on the ball, he's very good at holding the ball up, very good at putting the ball forward, good at starting attacks, very good creator, and also does chip in with some absolute worldies. So he doesn't score tap ins, he scores worldies. So you can get used to that. He's an away days king. So if you're one that likes to go to a good away day, he'll always be on the wind up. He'll always be, you hate to play against him, but you love him when he's playing for you. And if you're on an away day, he's a perfect match for that. But yeah, Mope, all I can say is it's a shame, obviously, to see him go because I really like Neil. But yeah, he for the money, and I think he only had a year left on his deal. It's probably the right move for him to move on. But yeah, I hope for our sake anyway, we get a replacement in.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was literally just about to touch into like his strengths and weaknesses, and I had heard that about him not really being an out and out goal scorer, and like
No.
more being about that hold up play, and the way
Mm.
Brighton play, him being like almost integral to that. Is he somewhat of an aerial threat? I think we're looking a bit for someone of a bit of a
No,
focal.
probably wouldn't be looking at aerial threat. He's about 5'8", so he's not the biggest. But again, I think the thing you're looking at with Neil is just ultimate wind ups. You'll be seeing a lot of time wasting, but in a good way, and you'll almost be like, I think he'll be more of a cult hero than he's not going to come in and be an Everton legend. He might be, and I hope for his sake he is, and your sake he is. But the chances are he's probably going to be one of those that's like you just look back and you think he was just a great player to have.
Yeah, I do feel he'll have that sort of effect on the fans, and even if he's
Mm.
like not the most crucial of players for us, he'll still be someone that fans like to see when he comes in.
Yeah,
Um, is
100%.
is he mostly a centre forward, or can he also like can he play off the wing at all? Or
Yeah, I mean, the way Potter plays is crazy, right? So we sometimes play with holding midfielders up front, and yeah, it's not even a joke. Lamptey was up front for a part of the game the other day. But I'd say that Mope is quite good at sort of going between left to right. Probably better on the right if he was to be anywhere. Can put a very good ball in, actually. It has to be said. But he's probably more of that second striker mold, I'd say. Big man, little man sort of thing. Quite good with that. I think that's where he probably went wrong at Brighton. Wasn't down to him as such, but when he was at Brentford, he had that Ollie Watkins, Saad Benrahma. He had a really good sort of duo with him with Watkins, and then when he comes to Brighton, he's all of a sudden a lone striker, and there's a 5'8" man that is good at holding the ball up. He's got no one to knock it onto, and unfortunately, it just didn't really seem to work with Welbeck for some reason. But yeah, I'd say second striker probably the main role.
yeah, you've led me absolutely perfectly into my next question there. So, like I say, I think I gathered that he kind of was more of a lone striker at Brighton, but would it
Mm.
be like with someone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front with him once he returns to the squad? Do you think that he could be even more effective
Mm.
in
Yeah,
a setup
yeah.
like that?
Definitely, yeah. I think that's probably the one thing that you'll have above us is that you've got Calvert Lewin, who, yeah, okay, has not been probably in the best form recently, probably for a while actually, to be honest. But everyone knows his quality, right? With Calvert Lewin, I used to be quite a big fan of him. He's scored plenty of goals against Brighton as well for some reason, but. Yeah, I think because he's a centre forward that's big, it probably helps with Mopay's game because, as you say, he's not going to be winning flick on headers as such, but he's going to be there. He's very, very strong. He's a strong sort of small guy that's going to probably help with that.
Mm. And what about Everton do you think attracted Neal Maupay?
Yeah, I must admit, I think Everton have been after him for a while, haven't you? I remember probably a couple of years ago, I think there was a talk of like a £30 million move, and I was like, my God, that's mad. But I don't know. I think that obviously Everton have been, I don't know what's happened to you guys. I don't want to come on here and disrespect your podcast, but I just find it really strange that, we're Brighton, right? And it feels like not long ago when I'd look at the Evertons and you look at even Aston Villas and stuff, you go to those games and be like, okay, we're probably going to lose it. I don't know what it was about Everton away I always worried about. And apart from last season, we always seem to get done by you guys. And I found it a bit strange that you're almost buying our third choice striker. And I was just a bit like, okay, that's a really weird one. But I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a good player. Could be a great player. He's only still 26. But I just found it strange that you guys. I was actually going to ask that question to you as to why you would go after him as opposed to the other way around.
Well, in the least disrespectful way possible to him, I think a lot of our fans are hoping he's not the only striker we bring in. Like we desperately need one. Like I said, we touched on Calvert-Lewin, who's, like, as you say, hasn't been in the best of form the last year, and also has really struggled with injuries and fitness. So, striker options are really light. I think everyone has completely run out of patience with Rondon. He's pretty much the only striker option we've got left at the club. I'd like to think he won't be the only one we bring in. I think we do need more reinforcements up front, but it kind of all depends on the state of the deal, really. Obviously, I don't think a fee's been bandied about, but with him being in the last year of his contract, you can't imagine it'd be loads.
I think it's about 14-15 million pound, I believe, which is about our that's the fee that we pretty much paid for him. So we've essentially just got our investment back, I suppose, which isn't bad considering he's our all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League. He's got 26 goals. Didn't beat Murray's record, which is disappointing. I would love that to happen. But I mean, to be fair, when you look at it like that, our top scorer last 3 years, I think as I said, he scored 26 goals. You would say that's a pretty decent return on 15 million, I would say anyway. To come from a Brentford side where, as I said, he played with two up front and then had to sort of settle into that Brighton team, which was in a transition period anyway. And it seems like you guys are almost going through that sort of transition period, which everyone loves to talk about anyway these days. But yeah, I mean, decent player, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys were after someone else as well. Just on the basis, I probably wouldn't want him to be the reliant one upon you, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, so I mean that's kind of how the deal works for us. But as you say, last 12 months of his contract, and you mentioned him about him pretty much falling to like third place in the ranks now. So do you think it's a good deal for you, even though, like you say, you have a lot of fondness for him, but the deal makes sense in a way?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's emotional, right? Because as I say, he's the away days king. I did plenty of away days last season, and every single time, especially in the London games for some reason, he just comes to life. Loves to just, I don't even know, when he plays against Arsenal, Tottenham, it just seems to come to life. It's great. And you've got the Merseyside derby this weekend, haven't you? If I'm right in saying so, he'll be on it. I'm sure that obviously when it's Liverpool, right? But he's still going to be up for it, and you'll be able to tell if he does play. But yeah, I think it's a shame, obviously, to see him go because I think there's a lot of emotional attachment towards him. But even on a player basis, we've got Welbeck, who's fantastic player on his day. I really like Danny Welbeck. Gets a lot of disrespect across the Premier League, but I think he's a great player now. He's probably playing his best football in years. But then the trouble is with him is he can get injured so quickly. And once that happens, you're in trouble. We've got Dennis Undav, who we brought in from Belgium. And, he had a great goal scoring record out there. I think he got like 30 goal contributions last season. But you worry that, can he do that step up to the Premier League? And then if we can't, then we've all of a sudden lost Maupay. And that's where it could be problem. You lose your 10 goal a season striker, which is obviously a worry.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean the things that I think the main things to take away from this is, like you say, that sort of player that you love to have on your team and can give you that extra edge with the wind up and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But not the biggest of goal scorers. So I mean, if you had to remove all fondness for him and that, and take it from a neutral perspective, do you think it'll be a good move for Everton? And do you think it'll be someone that you won't miss too much at Brighton?
I think I will miss him. Definitely think we'll miss him. I think that it's important to remember, like people were saying, oh yeah, well, he hasn't played for us this year at all. But we're 4 games in and it's a 9-month season. It's a long time. And, we could get to February and we could be thinking, we are missing Maupay now, and if we don't come in with a replacement, so I think on that basis, it's another body up front that we're going to miss out on, and that's a concern, of course. But I think with Everton, it's a good move. I think all things considered, as I say, he's a good sort of build up player. I think as long as your fans don't get on his back, I don't know what your fans are like with new signings, but if your fans get on his back, like ours did, for some reason we had this big sort of portion of fans that really gave him a lot of stick. So I don't blame him for moving whatsoever. And he only gave us like a thank you on Instagram, so I'm really not surprised. But as long as he doesn't sort of have that, I think he'll be all right, because he's quite he almost plays with his emotions. If he's down, he's down. If he's up, and he'll go back down again if the fans get on his back. So I think it's important to maybe note that bit, that you need to almost encourage him as opposed to be like, oh, for God's sake, Neil, how'd you miss that? Because then otherwise you're going to have a Maupay that's going to be upset, and that's just never going to help anyone on the pitch.
But yeah, I think that's just about everything I've got for you, Ryan. So thank you very much for joining me.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see a good Neal Maupay at Everton.
Yeah, hopefully not when it comes to January, but I hope for his sake he's good. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he shapes up, because I will be watching him closely, just because I think he's a good guy. I think as long as your fans take to him, and take him for what he is as well, he's an emotional character. But I think you will like him 100%.
Nice one. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and comment giving your thoughts on the signing down below. Subscribe for more Toffee Blues content, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers.